Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. Steve here at logicfxtrading, and welcome to our daily FX analysis video, guys. Yep, you heard it right. We changed the name after 3.5 years of doing these. Decided today to change the name, and the reason being that they're becoming too big, too cumbersome, trying to cover too much stuff, and it's all just getting lost. You know, you can't see the wood for the trees type situation. Don't know if that's the best analogy, but you understand what I'm saying. So from now on, I'm going to try and keep this purely on FX, and therefore it will be much shorter and straight to the point, guys. And we'll focus on those sections of FX where I have a clue about what's maybe going to happen, and try and leave out the sections, you know, where I'm not sure what's happening. So we'll not cover everything every day, and therefore it should be shorten it down maybe to 20 minutes, guys. Some days might even only be 10 minutes. Obviously, we'll cover the dollar every day, and we know, you know, if you know where DXY is going, not saying that we will know, but if we know where DXY is going, then you covered all the majors, and you also probably covered most of the European trades as well, guys, or European currency pairs. So that'll be the most important view, and then if there's anything else we can pick up, you know, obviously we'll look at it and we'll add it in. Okay, let's see how it goes anyway, guys. Now, this is the third or fourth time I've started to record this. The reason being is I immediately started going into how treasuries are going to affect stock prices, and that isn't what this video is about. But treasuries should, because the bond rates are going up, guys, and treasuries should have a positive effect on the price of the dollar. But of course, there are other factors as well, guys. But I do think we'll see a bit of a push up in the dollar today. And we'll talk about that when we look at the chart, guys. So durable goods yesterday also up in the US, pointing to continued growth in the US. And the Fed is going to tighten, guys. I've already said they're going to tighten. It's what speed to do that at is the important issue. But as they tighten, as they start to pull back on their bond buying, and as they start to look like they may start to increase interest rates. Now, it's supposed to happen in that order, guys, but it doesn't have to. It could be if the economy did a certain thing that the Fed could just turn around, probably not this quarter or next quarter, but they could turn around sooner than planned, say, hey, we're going to start hiking rates again. So we'll keep an eye on all of that over the next 6 months or so. And the reason that I say that is that the Bank of England came out and said that very thing last week, guys. You know, obviously they're bond buying as well, etc. And you would expect the start of the tapering of bond buying before you would get interest rate hikes. But they turned around last week and they said, well, you know, if it's necessary, we'll do both at the same time. So that's now what they're talking about. In Bloomberg, will the Fed possibly do something like that as well? Okay, so that's setting the scene. We'll play out through that over the next 6 months to a year, guys, and we'll see. But we know the direction. The direction is they're going to taper, and the direction is eventually interest rates will start to go up. In the meantime, bond rates are going up already, guys. Okay, which should be positive for the dollar. On the longer term. Today we've got consumer confidence in Germany, consumer confidence in the US. We'll see how they come in. In Germany at 0.3, forecast minus 1.6 and revised minus 1.1. I wonder, is that affected by, you know, how do they take this? I don't exactly know. Is it affected by the results of their election? Don't think so, because it's only gone through on Sunday and Monday, so that's quite a move, guys, minus 1.6 to 0.3. But remember, it's consumer confidence. It's not real data of things that have been bought and sold and ordered. Quick look at tomorrow. No major events scheduled. So that's Wednesday, Thursday. So we're looking for the 30th. NSB manufacturing PMI in China, UK growth rate year on year, unemployment change in Germany, and inflation and GDP growth there in the US at the end there. So a little bit to look forward to. 30 days has September, and then Friday will be the first then, won't it? core inflation, price index. So let's keep an eye on what's going on with the dollar this week, guys. If these numbers come in high, we may see a more upward movement in DXY. But remember, DXY is also it's a weighted average. So if the other currencies are also getting strong, you might not see that big a move. So, but we'll keep an eye on that, guys. Okay, let's get over to the charts. I'm trying to keep this short, guys. Here's the alarms that went off overnight. We did talk yesterday about the yen. We did talk about the yen towards the end of last week and how it's weakening. And here we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yen alarms have gone off overnight, guys. The thing we then got to look at is say to yourself, well, is there a setup to get involved if you're not already involved in this yen trade, guys? Aussie New Zealand, I'm looking for that to go long. I assume that's what we've got there. Let's have a look at the chart. That's a Dow Jones, and there's nothing much else I really want to talk about there, so let's get rid of that. And there's the yen chart. It's still within this structure at the minute, guys, but what we were saying the other day is we're looking to see if this is going to start to give us an impulse down. So we'll keep an eye on that. If we get a nice little setup that pulls back, it'll be even better. But we're not trading the index, guys. We're looking at the index to give us an idea of where the yen's going. We'll then skip out the. I'll get these moved off here, guys, and we'll put them into the stock. The little analysis we do on stocks. Now, this is broken out long. And this is the increase in bond rates, guys, that's happening here. I'll just clean it up for a minute. Because what we were saying, we were drawing these and saying, listen, structurally, if DXY is going to stay in this flat correction, then it should head back down to the bottom of the structure. But of course, it doesn't have to stay in that. So let's have a little rethink of what's going on with this. You see that line there, guys? That was one of the lines I'm pretty sure I put in a while back when I was saying that there's a possibility that the dollar will do something like this as opposed to running flat, which is what we've got in there. Excuse me. And the whole idea that I've been running with recently was that because we're up here, the odds are that the dollar, if it's going to stay flat, will come back down to the bottom of the channel. But with what the Fed said last week, and now we're starting to see a response with bond rates starting to go up, I'm looking at this again, and I'm starting to think to myself, listen, let's take this out. And let's even take that. We'll leave that target in because that was a target that was put in by JP Morgan or somebody a lot of months ago. Are we now starting to look at some sort of channel like this, guys, where rather than this dropping down, down into here, it could end up pushing up to there and then, correcting, and that now becoming our structure. It's still a corrective structure, guys, after our big impulse down from a way back. But I'm just looking. I've been reluctant, and I'm honest with you guys. If I'm trading something, I'll say I'm trading, and if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. And there's not many people who say that. They'll pretend they do know, and they'll not trade it, guys, as opposed to being honest. So it does become a little bit difficult for me to continually say that because that's the way it's kind of been the last, from around here somewhere. Although listen, I got that right, we got that right, and then we got that right. But this last few weeks here has been a little bit tricky. We were looking at a potential head and shoulders. I don't think that's happening now. I suspect this will probably push on up. I am a little bit wary of jumping into it here because you've got a previous high, and I don't like buying where you're approaching a previous, if you come up and drop, I want to get in there if I think the tread's going that trend. If I think the trend is in that direction and it starts to move there, you're looking to get in somewhere there, guys. And then when it gets there, you've got to start thinking about, trade management and whether you're going to take profits or whether you're going to, put your stops in and let them run. But I certainly wouldn't ever want to get involved in something at that point, even though a lot of times they do push through. There can be pivot points where you get a pullback, guys, and they pull back more often than they break on through. And therefore, it's not a great place to get involved. So sometimes, if you haven't got involved at this point, you've just got to let it run. And oil will be the same situation. Oil's busy doing something like that. We had the high, then we had it running flat for a while. It's come back up, might even have broken the high, but you need a setup, guys, to get into it. Because if you don't, you end up riding through the setup. And while it's in that period of time, circumstances could change and this ends up running down on you. So you do need to be careful about where you get into, guys. Particularly if you want to trade, if you want to jump in and out, you don't want to necessarily be stuck in something for months because you got in at the wrong place. And it isn't always possible to avoid that, but we try to avoid it as much as possible, guys. So here we have it. It's moving on up. We're on the 4 hours. So let's come down to 1 hour. Have a look at it. I suspect this will push on up. There's the little double top we're coming into that I'm a little bit concerned about. The other thing you could look at here is that structure. And you say, yeah, well, while it's in this structure, it's going to continue on up. Of course, it could break and go, but you could also end up, with that sort of situation. Now, I don't think we're going to get that today because of what treasuries are doing, but it could continue to go up in this manner. So what I'm saying is I wouldn't jump into this particular chart today. Obviously, we'll go and look at the other ones. And if there are any setups over there, then maybe we get a trade or two in. But I wouldn't be surprised if DXY came back to there before going long again. But after maybe breaking out a little bit more, guys, and then coming back. And then if we get that situation, then you'll hear me start to say, hey, let's bring our alarm round to there, and we're looking for a breakout. Now, all bets could be off tomorrow, guys. I'm not in it yet. So let's see where we go with it. If what I'm saying kind of lines up with what you think, then, go ahead. Now, if that's the case, then these are going to work out differently, guys. Because these have all been set up for this to go long. But yet again, you're at this same situation where in this case it's a double bottom. So I'd prefer to see it maybe pushing through, giving us a pullback, and then from there, I would look to trade it short. So still looking for setups, guys. Pound, well, look at the nice big pullback on the pound there today. Now, it depends on the timing of these things, guys. But really, when you're trading currencies, you're looking to get in and out. Whereas stocks, you can hold on to those for longer periods of time. And the reason I'm saying this is that the Bank of England could surprise us and you would get a push in the opposite direction in the pound, guys. So I'm not entirely convinced that this would be the best trade. But the same as with the euro, you're coming into potentially a triple bottom. You could get a reaction off it and then go. But as I said, be a little bit more wary of trading the pound short. Aussie US. For now, I'm going to take this out. And we could well see that pushing down. Even if you caught a trade from there to there, it might be worth trading. There's the New Zealand's already gone. So the fact that the New Zealand's gone against the dollar short and the Aussie hasn't moved as much tells us that the New Zealand has gone, the Aussie's gone long against the New Zealand, which is the reason why we saw that alarm earlier. So maybe there's more downside in this, but yet again, is that a place to get involved? If it's going to run to there, remember it can run beyond, but just my point of view, a individual trade, if you got a nice little pullback, maybe. I don't know that we're going to get the pullback, but guys. US CAD, with the oil price continue to go up, I think there's going to be some positive trades on the CAD. Now, whether this is one you want to take or not, it's another thing. But we will have a little look at some other potential CAD trades. So I'll leave that. Oh no, sorry, hold on. This is the other way around. This is US dollar first, CAD second, whereas the rest were US dollar second. So this potentially could. Oh, hold on. With the CAD strengthening and potentially the dollar strengthening as well, this could just stay in here, guys. So I wouldn't try and trade that one. This one's a little bit different. Oh, it's not. We were looking for this to go. You see it, guys? There she goes. Now, when I used to focus a lot more on currency rather than stocks, which I've been doing the last 6, 7, 8 months, guys, this used to always seem like it was always a little indicator, a little canary in the coal mine, guys, because this pair always seems to move before the rest, or move more robustly than the rest. It hasn't broken that yet, guys, but so that's still in that situation where it could be a little triple top, but head and shoulders. But as I repeat all the time, I don't trade structures like that, but I'm aware of them. And, for that reason, maybe you wouldn't take the trade if you were trying to trade it in the opposite direction to that was being shown by the structure, guys. But we'll keep an eye on this. Yet again, if we go out to the 4 hours, a little bit hoarse here this morning, guys, and you look at it in the 4 hours, we were kind of running with this idea that the dollar was going to run back and forward here. Maybe it's starting to do that, which means there could well be more upside in this, before you get a pullback and off it goes again. Dollar yen, well, there you have it. There's the weakening of the yen. It did say yesterday, oh, no, maybe it wasn't the yen, the dollar. Cad yen was the one I was talking about yesterday, I'm pretty sure. We'll have to have a look at that, guys. There's the weakening of the yen. Still hasn't broken that, guys. But look at it. Yet again, if you're in it from here, get your stop to zero. See if it's going to break through there. If you're not, you're going to have to wait for a setup to get involved. Yes, Swiss. We'll take those 2 arrows out. Possibly it will continue to move, but if we're going to get a pullback in the markets, guys, you could well get a move into safety, which I know yen safety as well, guys, but there's other reasons why it's pulling back. Although having said that, the Japanese economy, or the Japanese government, is calling an end to to lockdowns, etc. But we can't second guess everything, guys. So not so much this one at the moment. Although having said that, if the dollar's going long, gold price will go down, which won't be good for the Swiss. So possibly this will continue on up, but I wouldn't particularly want to trade that one. And talking the gold price, been looking for it to move long. There's an awful lot of talk about gold this last year, so that we never had before. Reason being that people are starting to say that Bitcoin is the new gold. Now, it obviously isn't, but I'm talking about from a hedging point of view. It could take up some of the slack that gold ordinarily would. So we can't say as with as much confidence as we normally would that if you're going to see a slowdown in the economy, you would see, sorry, not slowdown in the economy. If we're going to see a pullback in stock prices, you would see a move into to gold. But this whole pandemic, restarting of economies, etc., has really changed the playing field, guys. Things aren't happening the way that ordinarily would, which makes analysis very, very difficult. So we'll keep an eye on gold. We'll see how it goes. When it's going to go long, when things start happening with it, they'll start talking about it, guys. You'll see news articles about it. You'll hear about it in Bloomberg. And then there'll be plenty of time to get involved in it as it makes its new move up. But I suspect for now that this is going to continue to drop. And I did say we weren't going to talk about the account. We weren't going to talk about stocks and whatever. But this is a commodity, guys. I did get into it as it came up here. Made some profits on it. But then obviously got drawn down to here. I decided yesterday to offload some of the gold mining shares. So we'll see where it goes, guys. I just didn't want to hang on to them through, 6 months or 8 months of drawdown before things start coming long again. And if they start coming long from here, remember this is a daily time chart. If they start coming long again from here, guys, we'll get back into it. But at the moment, that hedge that I made a few months ago cost me money rather than saving me money, guys. So that's the way it goes. Sometimes you double guess the market, and sometimes it turns out you're a genius. And that's the times that most people will talk about, the time that they got it right, that they took cash off the table just at the right time, or they got into a safety, a commodity or something just at the right time, and they'll tell you about it. I got into gold, guys, and it turned out to be the wrong time. So there you go. And the reason that I'm telling you is that it's important to understand the reality of trading, that you don't always get it right. Am I stupid for telling you that? Probably, because most other people will just tell you how smart they are and tell you when they get it right, and therefore they get thousands of followers. And maybe that's what I need to start doing. But it's just so against my nature. I'm just an honest person, guys. Okay, so that's gold. I'm not going to put an arrow on it. It could well push down further. If it starts to come up, we'll know the reasons for it. But with bond rates going up at the minute, gold's not going long, guys. Bitcoin, well, yet again, when bond rates are going up, you're not necessarily looking for, a move into some sort of store of value. Therefore, this could well continue to drop. And as we've been saying for the last week or so, if it gets down into this area, and don't worry if this is your first video, we'll talk about it when it's important. If it gets down into that area, we'll start to talk about potentially ban Bitcoin. There seems to be a lot more interest in Ethereum recently. So I think there's potentially a lot of upside to Ethereum, but not today, guys. Little bit like gold, little bit like Bitcoin, a little bit like silver. They're coming off, and there will be their time. They will go long again, guys. There's oil. Now, we said it would go long. There's our arrow. We were looking for a setup. Didn't come down as much as possible, but off it's gone. Just done a little double top there, guys, but it will break through there. Not necessarily today, but give it a week or two and it will be through that. Could happen today, but I would say with 90% probability, oil will be above there at some point over the next few weeks, guys. And there are people calling it at $100. So we'll see whether that comes out or not. I don't trade oil, as I say often, because it's costly to trade it and very costly when you get it wrong. But if you are interested in it, the main reason that I keep an eye on it is because the CAD tends to move with the oil price just as Swiss tends to move with the gold price, guys. So given where it is, it could well push up, but yet again, what we were saying earlier, that's not a place to buy. Wait and see if you get another little drawdown. Maybe it breaks through, then gives you a drawdown. But I think that's the trend, guys. Euro CAD. Now, given that overnight I've decided that the dollar is going to edge higher, generally that will mean that the euro will edge lower, and therefore this will continue to move in that direction. I'm not going to say it's going to get to that target, guys. That's not how we operate. But it should move in that direction. There might be better trades on the CAD, but I would still need to see some sort of setup. To be honest, there aren't many. I suppose that would have been a setup to go down to there, but it's difficult when something's moving like that. It's difficult to find setups, guys, unless it starts to move impulsively. So I'm not sure that the Euro CAD would be the best trade. Euro Aussie, not sure with that either, but possibly it's this. Possibly I've got it in the right direction, but whether I would want to trade it or not, it's another thing. We'll have to see if the euro gets a boost from the German elections. Obviously, it's a hung situation, so they're going to have to form a coalition. So we'll see if there's any effects on that. But at the moment, this isn't looking any different to what it has. I would say that I don't think it's going to continue doing that, guys. I suspect you may well get a move down, but that will depend on the dollar moving along. Euro New Zealand. It is moving up at the moment. But given how the chart looks, I wouldn't be trading it. Euro Yen, well, it's doing what we expected it to do, guys. It hasn't given us a setup, but that looks like a little running flat, guys. So rather than giving us a nice zigzag setup, it's given us a running flat and it's broken out. So I suspect there's more upside to that. Euro Swiss, not so much. Pound CAD. If it were to do something like that again, guys, then, from there to there, there's nice money to be made. Depends whether, whether you want to wait for a setup or not, which you should do. Pound CAD, Pound Oz. Not so sure. Leave it alone. Pound New Zealand. Leave it alone. Pound Swiss. Leave it alone in the meantime. Pound Euro. Leave it alone all the time. Pound Yen. Yet again, it, like the other yen pairs, is moving, well, short for the yen, long for the pair. But there's another little pullback this morning. That little pullback, I suspect, is on the pound, guys. So I don't particularly want to trade the pound at the moment. Aussie Yen. Well, it's going in. It has been going. This is 4 hours, remember. Let's go back down to the 1 hour. I suspect it'll continue on up, but that at the minute's not anything to get excited about. Oh, now, this is interesting, guys. Let's clean this up. Okay. So, if we look at this in 4 hours, we've come down into a region. Remember, this pair runs it runs like that. It's been doing it for years. And each time it gets down to the bottom end, or toward the bottom end of the structure, I start to look to trade it the other way. Now, it's been doing this, and recently I've been saying, listen, I'm waiting for a breakout. That's possibly the breakout. So ordinarily what I would do would be to wait for something like that, and when it starts to break out again, get involved. But with this pair, over the years, sorry, I've gone the wrong way there. I meant to go to daily. Over the years, when it changes direction, it tends to do it very, very quickly. And if you wait for a setup, you don't get one. Now, this is a daily chart, guys. It happened here. And we traded this nice. I think I got out of it around there somewhere, but I traded that. I was just trying to see the other ones I traded. Not so sure on these. Let's see, what's that? Trading room summary. What's the summary? Traded up here. What year was that? Oh, that's 2020. Traded this, and that one is, I think that's the one I'm looking for, guys. Let's bring it down to 4 hours. Where are we? Lost it. Where are we now? 2018. I don't think it was that long ago. I think it was this one here, guys. I caught this almost to the day. Well, not to the day, almost to the hour. And it shot away up, and I made 17%. I'm pretty sure it was 17% in a couple of hours, guys. So I took it. But as I said, well, when you get that, you'll always get a pullback, and then we'll get into it again. And all we got was this, and the way it went, and the way it went, and the way it went. And I missed that whole thing, guys, for the sake of taking that. So the next time it happened, which I caught that one as well. Where was the one I said where I got out? Anyway, the next one after that, which, well, it was that one or this one, I caught it and I let it run, and then eventually I got out of it, and then we missed the last bit up. I think it was probably, it just looks a bit different in the different time scale, guys. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so I caught that one, and because of what had happened over here, I let this one run, and then got out of it around here. Missed the last bit, but that was okay. But I've got these little things where certain pairs or certain instruments, I only like to trade them in one direction, guys. Even though this does that, and you've every bit as much chance of trading it profitably down as you do long. For some reason with this, I only like trading it long. So when it's going short, I leave it for weeks and months, and when it gets down, then I start to look for the opportunity to trade it long again, guys. So potentially there's a trade in there with Aussie New Zealand, and that's just looking at it technically, guys. I haven't looked at it fundamentally. Aussie Swiss, just leave it. Aussie Cad, leave it alone there. There's the Cad strengthening up there. Swiss Yen. Now, this is another one that I wasn't particularly successful at trading this, but I tried really hard to trade it a while back through here. I was trying to trade it short here. There's the arrow. And then when it broke out, I said, right, I'm getting out of it, stay away from it. And there were still loads of people, something like 70 or 80% of traders were still trying to trade this short when it had broken out. So with that drop, we've had a little zigzag here, guys. And with that drop on the yen, we've had this push up. But as I've been saying over the last week or so, I always need a setup. Well, I don't always need a setup, but when you use a setup, guys, you tend to get things right. And when you pile into things, there's a bigger chance that you'll get them wrong. Now, that's a nice impulse there, guys, on a 4-hour time scale. We're going to have to wait for some sort of pullback to try and trade it up. I'll put charts out in these on TradingView, guys. I haven't been using it for about a year, but I need to get back into it. CAD Swiss. Yeah, it's pushing up, but yet again, I'd prefer to see some sort of setup. I do like trading this. I'm quite good at trading this, but I haven't traded it since about February, guys. So the whole year, near enough. But it came up, and then when we got to here, I just said it's going to run flat, and that's what it's done. Now, fair enough, there are chances there, but this is with hindsight, guys. This is hindsight. When it was pulling back there, how did we know that was going to be the turning point? When it got to there, how did we know it was going to do that? And we didn't, and therefore, that's the reason I've stayed away from it. But the big one is going to be this one then, guys. There you go. So maybe this becomes my new little darling for a while. Trade what you know, guys. If you don't know, leave it alone. Even though it's frustrating, just, leave it alone. So this is on 4 hours, remember. It's been a nice move. But as I said, we're going to have to wait. Get some sort of pull. I can't see it happening today, though, guys. Oil price where it is. The yen's been dropping. Maybe the yen gives us a pullback. Go and look at the yen chart again. Maybe we get that on the yen before it drops again. Nice pullback there. Which would then give us a setup here, guys. New Zealand yen. We were looking for the setup. Potentially that's a little flat before it goes. New Zealand CAD. There's the CAD strengthening up. I don't like trading this pair. I suppose I've got it in my head that the CAD's strengthening. I was going to say there, you always got to know at least what direction one of the pairs going in. But it's even better if you know which direction, or you have a high probability idea of which direction they're both going in. And they need to be going in opposite directions for your best results. So New Zealand dollar, Swiss, I'm not going to bother with that. And then yen against the Chinese yuan. Well, that's continuing on. It's come into this area. I think it'll continue to go down. Still need a setup for it, guys. Okay, that'll do for the day. That was longer than I planned, but nonetheless, we will make them short. There will be days when they're short, and there'll be days when they're longer, guys. Okay, I'll speak to you all again tomorrow or in the next video whenever that's released, guys. Bye for now.